All right, let's just jump right into this. If you are a high school biology student staring down a massive upcoming exam, you are in exactly the right place. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely ditch those dry, boring textbook definitions and totally reconstruct how you visualize cellular life. Have you ever just stopped, looked at a simple brick wall, and thought about life itself? I know it sounds a little out there, but hear me out. Just like a massive house is built by stacking single bricks together, every single living organism on this planet, from the tiniest ant scurrying on the sidewalk to a giant elephant, is constructed from basic building blocks. And, as you know, we call these blocks cells. And what we're looking at here perfectly captures that idea. Inside every single one of these microscopic blocks, there is this bustling, highly organized system at work. When you look at a plant cell under a microscope, you start to see these distinct structures. It's really not just some random blob of jelly. It is a dynamic, living machine. So, to make acing your exam an absolute breeze, we're going to explore the cell by imagining it as a highly efficient microscopic factory. Because instead of just memorizing a random list of organelles, it's way easier if you picture distinct departments, bustling assembly lines, and a dedicated cleanup crew. Once you see how all these pieces actually work together to keep the factory running, the whole concept of biology is just going to click for you.
Okay, so here's our quick factory tour itinerary for this explainer. First, we'll visit headquarters, then the production line, followed by waste management. After that, we'll go over some memory hacks, and finally, we'll wrap up with exam prep.
Let's start with stop number 1, headquarters, which is the nucleus. The nucleus is absolutely the brain of the cell. It's the organelle that regulates almost all forms of cellular activity. The word itself actually comes from a Latin term meaning kernel of a nut, which makes perfect sense, right? Because it sits right at the very core of our operations. I want you to think of the nucleus as the CEO of our microscopic factory. And this CEO sits securely in a super luxurious, double-membraned office, which we call the nuclear envelope, holding the ultimate blueprints for the entire organism. But the really crucial point here is that this CEO isn't just passively sitting around hoarding those DNA blueprints. The nucleus is actively managing the factory. It controls cell growth and reproduction. In fact, before the cell even divides, it conducts DNA replication, literally copying the master blueprints. It also directs transcription. Think of transcription as creating individual instruction manuals from the DNA into RNA, and then sending them out for the rest of the factory workers to actually read and execute. Now, teachers absolutely love testing you on the major cell types. Just remember our factory metaphor here. Our factory is a eukaryotic cell, specifically because it has that dedicated, walled-off, double-membrane CEO office. Prokaryotic cells, like bacteria, well, they're more like an open-floor startup. They completely lack a definite nuclear membrane, which means their genetic material, their chromatin, is just moving freely out in the cytoplasm. Moving right along, let's hit stop number 2, the production line, the ER. Stepping out of headquarters through those nuclear pores, we land right on the bustling manufacturing floor. This is the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER for short. The ER is this massive, continuous network of membranes. If the nucleus is the CEO giving the orders, the ER is the actual production line where the factory's products are assembled, modified, and prepped for shipping all over the cell. And this breakdown is super helpful because it totally contrasts the two distinct assembly lines within the ER. Look at the rough ER on the left. It literally looks rough under a microscope because it's studded with these tiny dots called ribosomes. Think of ribosomes as our factory workers. They're super busy synthesizing proteins along these flattened sacs, which are known as cisternae. On the other hand, the smooth ER has absolutely no ribosomes, no workers attached. It's just a network of interconnected, smooth tubules dedicated to a completely different product line, synthesizing lipids and steroids. Okay, step 3 of the tour. Waste management, lysosomes. We have to acknowledge that every factory produces waste. To handle this, you are almost guaranteed to see lysosomes referred to by a pretty dramatic nickname on your upcoming test, suicide bags. I know, it sounds intense, but the reason they get this title is utterly fascinating. Lysosomes are basically the factory's incinerators. They are these membrane-bound sacs packed with incredibly strong acidic hydrolytic enzymes. Usually, they do a fantastic job of just digesting waste, breaking down foreign materials, and recycling old cell parts. A neat little process called autophagy. But here's the catch. If the factory is severely damaged or infected, these sacs will purposely rupture. They release their powerful enzymes and digest the entire cell, just to protect the rest of the organism.
That self-destruction is called autolysis, hence the nickname suicide bag.
All right, let's move to Section 4, Memory Hacks and Mnemonics. So you know the factory layout now. You've met the CEO, the production workers, and the hazardous waste crew. Now let's lock these concepts into your brain with some proven memory hacks. When you're sitting in your exam and a question pops up about the rough endoplasmic reticulum, I want you to visualize the letter R. Rough ER has ribosomes, and ribosomes produce reams of protein. Rough ribosomes, reams of protein. It's a perfect little sequence that tells you exactly what it looks like and what it actually does. And what about the smooth ER? Well, for the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, just remember the acronym SELS. It synthesizes essential lipids and steroids. SELS. Just scribble that in the margin of your test paper, and you will literally never mix up those two assembly lines again. Finally, Part 5, Acing Your Cell Exam. Let's bring this whole thing home. We're going to do a rapid-fire review of the absolute most common high-yield questions examiners love to throw at biology students. Starting with the granddaddy of them all, what are the main differences between a plant cell and an animal cell? Whenever this classic comparison pops up, you want to picture the differences in how these two specific factory types are built and how they operate. You are definitely going to want to memorize this table because it is exam gold. Plant factories are built like fortresses, right? They have rigid outer cell walls and chloroplasts so they can manufacture their own food from sunlight. Plus, they have one massive central vacuole for storage. Animal factories, on the other hand, don't have those rigid walls. They rely heavily on centrioles to help them divide. And because they consume food rather than making it themselves, they have way more lysosomes to manage complex waste. Actually, examiners love to test your specific knowledge by asking for features possessed only by an animal cell. So if you see that question, just picture this amoeba right here. You can confidently write down centrioles for cell division and lysosomes, our trusty suicide bags, as the correct answers. No doubt about it. Oh, here is another classic trick question you might see. Name the membrane system connecting the nucleus with the plasma membrane. Seriously, don't let the formal phrasing confuse you. They are literally just asking about the transport network connecting the CEO's office to the outer factory walls. You instantly know that's the endoplasmic reticulum. So just keep this quick checklist in your back pocket. The nucleus is the CEO holding the DNA blueprints. Ribosomes are your protein workers. The rough ER makes proteins, while the smooth ER makes lipids. Lysosomes are the suicide bags handling the waste. And plants have walls and chloroplasts, while animals have centrioles and lysosomes. Lock this into your memory, and you're going to navigate that biology exam with total confidence. As we wrap up this explainer and you go off to totally crush this exam, I want to leave you with a final thought. If cellular organelles are these perfectly coordinated factory departments, what kind of cascading massive effects do you think happen when just one tiny lysosome fails to clear waste, or a single microscopic CEO starts giving the wrong DNA orders? The difference between vibrant health and serious disease often starts right there, deep inside that microscopic factory. Keep exploring, and good luck on your exams.